Hello and welcome to What's Trending with Tire Review. My name is David. I am the editor of Tire Review, and today we are speaking with Jared Kugel. He is the CEO of Tire Agent. Tire Agent is an online tire selling retailer, and at first glance you think maybe they're just selling tires, but you take another glance and these guys are doing a lot right, and they're getting the accolades to prove it. They're really kind of making a name for themselves right now. So I'm really excited for this conversation. Let's get right to it. Jared, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. I want to get right into this because this is really exciting. Tire Agent recently named on Inc.'s 5,000 list of the fastest growing startups. So obviously there are a lot of different ways to buy tires online. What sets you apart to the point where you're being named to some of these really cool lists?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think the main thing is I always remember that customers make the business. If there are no customers, there are no business, right? So it's our job to make sure that customers feel heard, make sure they know that we're here to help. I always take their positive and negative feedback very seriously. We're always making changes to the website based on what we're hearing from them. And then, of course, based on their feedback, we've continually evolved over time. If you look at the first iterations of Tire Agent to now, it is worlds different from where we were to where we became. I think the biggest thing is there is always a personal touch gap from when you're talking about complicated products. So when it comes to online versus in-store. And so what I always try to do is close that gap. Make sure the customer knows that we're not just people behind a screen, but we're someone that you can talk to, consult with regarding the tires. When they go to order on an Amazon, an eBay, or any of those marketplaces, people are so used to just like clicking, buying. But tires are not that simple, right? There's a little bit more of a consultative approach that's needed. There's more information that's needed. Not every vehicle takes the same size, right? So it's important that we don't rush people off the phone, that we make sure our customer service agents are well educated, they're patient, they're empathetic, they are in a position where we want to make sure our customers feel good about the purchase. And so as we've evolved, that's kind of how our methodology has also evolved. We look at all the different KPIs for our agents, not just sales, but also time spent on the phone. Are people happy with the feedback, reviews? You got to take that seriously. We're in a world today where word of mouth is not just word of mouth, and it just doesn't affect a couple people. They are referring their friends, their sisters, their parents, all these different situations and people. We want to be their first call. And if we're not their first call, at least hopefully their last call, right? For that purchase. And then hopefully keep coming back. And we have a very strong repeat purchase rate because of our dedication to the customers. And so over time, we've become much more than just an online tire retailer. We've become an actual tire, I call it tire company, right? Because you're not just a website where you just go on, you shop, you leave. We don't want it to be so transactional. We want it to be relationship based. And I think that's how companies grow, is when you're relationship based. If you're just trying to be a company that's just trying to get a quick sale, well, you may not get that customer again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for us, it's far more than just the sale. It's the before the sale, the after the sale, and then hopefully we're great enough where you want to keep referring us. And I think the numbers are speaking for themselves, where people really appreciate what we're building. We're trying to become really the destination for tires for people.
Very cool. And I think you make a great point. And that's the story in a lot of industries. You got to be making those relationships and keeping those up and making sure that you're taking care of the customer. I want to revisit something that you said early on there, where you're taking customer feedback to heart and you're making changes to the website based on that feedback. Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So for example, through my journey of starting Tire Agent, it wasn't always roses. I went through some really tough times building this business, and I know what it's like to be a customer that's having a hard time affording necessities, right? And when I thought about who the customer was in this country that's, buying tires, a lot of the people are people that are trying to get by. And I know what that's like because I was at that point when I was starting the company, right? When I started the company, I had a good job, and then I kind of transitioned to doing this. And then I went through some tough times in the beginning. Um, and so when I'm thinking about what customers want, right, it's not just competitive prices, it's affordability, which I consider to be very
Mm.
different.
Hmm.
It's also making sure that the purchase you get, which is a meaningful dollar amount, you're going to get them out of it. And we want to make sure that you don't have buyer's remorse when buying with us. We want you to be happy about the purchase, excited about the purchase. And so when I think about what that means, it's putting together a great user experience through the purchase flow. It's making sure you have the delivery in a really quick, fast amount of time. It's making sure you get the right road hazard with it.
Hmm.
It's all these different factors. And I just put myself in that mind of that shopper. And then what I do is, even though we've gotten significantly bigger over time, I read every single review that comes in on every platform.
Mm.
I want to make sure that every customer is heard. Now, look, you can't please everyone, and that's okay, but you want to please the majority of genuine people that have real feedback that you think is valuable to not just current customers, but future customers.
Mm.
So this way, you're always getting better. If you're just relying on the sales that you used to have, then you're going to be missing out on the sales that you're going to have,
Mm.
right? Or could have. And so for me, it's really about building that relationship that kind of springboards you into the next stratosphere of companies that are out there. Like, we're not the biggest, but we are one of the fastest growing, and it's because we really care about the customer.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I know a big part of your kind of business model is being able to have those affordable tires, the affordability of those tires, keep things low cost as possible. How are you able to do that?
Yeah, so we have a very efficient operation and shipping, and we're able to offer competitive prices based on a lot of different factors. One of them is, as an online retailer, we abide by something called MAP. MAP is a retail pricing kind of structure that the manufacturers put in place to make sure that nobody can undercut each other.
Hmm.
As a retailer, I love MAP because it makes sure that every person is on the same playing field,
Hmm.
and you're not just selling based on price. As a retailer, selling based on only price and nothing else is a very dangerous game. So we want to make sure that we go above and beyond for the customers. So this way, price is not the only leverage that we have,
Hmm.
right? And at our scale, I mean, if we wanted to, if there was no map, we can compete because we're moving volume.
Hmm.
But we're able to compete on a few different levels. One, everybody's on the same playing field for pricing if they choose to be, but they can't go below it. In another case, we really push the relationship model that I mentioned in the past question,
Hmm.
which is we want to make sure the customers know that we're here for them, that we're building a relationship, not just for this purchase, but for future purchases, for family, for friends.
Hmm.
And so we're able to offer that low cost model, but in reality, we're building something much bigger. Now, what I think is when you are only selling on price, you're playing this game of really no loyalty because
Hmm.
customers are just going to then go from one website to the other to just compare pricing.
Hmm.
Map keeps everything honest. In some cases, you can sell above map if you choose to. Just depends on what your business model is. In our case, we want to give people a hybrid of competitive pricing, great customer service, and then as many value propositions as we can put together.
Got it. Got it.
In our case, we have an exceptionally high repeat purchase rate from what I've seen, and that speaks a lot to what we're bringing to the table. When I think about what we're doing on a pricing model, it's important to know that that's only one part of the factor of owning the customer.
Mm.
It's not the complete part.
And that kind of, it makes me think about you have all these brands that you're carrying. I believe you have over 70. A lot of tier ones, tier twos. These are brands that people are familiar with. What is your relationship with these manufacturers like? Are they giving you different incentives to help kind of sell their products, or are they coming to you with their products? Are you kind of going to them requesting that you be able to carry those products? What do those relationships look like, and how are they built?
Yeah. So great question. It's a mix. But the important thing is to know we're not here to be a disruptor in the industry. We're here to complement the industry and help push it forward. There's a big difference. We're not here to hurt the independent retailer. We're not here to make all these noise and waves, right? That's just not my style. I love the industry. It's been great to me over the last 20 years. But my goal really is just to bring more awareness that people can purchase tires online. We have some great partners that do our installation for our customers. So we're giving them a lot of customers every month. We've done a lot of different things with manufacturers to help educate the customer, right, on the features and benefits. Some people think a tire is just a tire. They forget that there's features, benefits, different types of purposes, whether it's going off-roading, dealing with the snow and ice, racing, right? So we do a bunch of different things. We leverage the manufacturer national rebates. We use co-op money. We hire influencers to make videos to highlight the features. And then we take the market money and we push out those videos to show people about brands they've never even heard of half the time, which is great. And in the cases where the brands are known, well, a lot of these customers didn't even know that tires had different types of things to it that can help make their ride better. I mean, for example, I just bought a new car. My car rode terrible. I put new tires on. It was like driving a brand new car. It was crazy, the difference.
It is crazy how that works.
Yeah. And, when you think about the online retailer, especially in our scenario, people always ask me like, oh, are you working with the manufacturer? Are you working with the distributor? Are you just buying from the open market? Like, what are you doing? And I tell people, regardless of what's happening, our goal is to increase the education to the customer so that they're making an educated purchase. As long as you do your job as a retailer by making the customer feel like they're making a good purchase and they're happy with that purchase, then you're doing your job. If you're just pushing product, people know that's what you're doing. Customers are not stupid. And the more respect you treat that customer, the higher the likelihood you're going to own that customer. So when we look at brands that we want to work with, we want the brand to support us. If they're going to support us and they're going to not just with the rebates and not just with money, but maybe we're doing a giveaway. Maybe we're doing something for charity and we want, a set of tires to give away in a raffle to help raise money. Like it could be a number of different things, but all these things help with the brand awareness when you're pitching to customers.
Jared, you're obviously very knowledgeable about what you're talking about. Just in relation to the tire industry, I'm curious if you can give us just a taste of your background in the industry, and then kind of what was the catalyst that made you decide that you wanted to sort of abandon that brick and mortar experience and turn things to being totally e-commerce?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry since I can remember. I remember being as little as like maybe 15 years old and filing invoices in a cabinet in my family's warehouse, right? So maybe since I was 17 or 19 years old, I was really more active in the industry. I'm now 37. My family had retail stores, wholesale distribution centers. I was able to gain a really wide range of knowledge, everywhere from logistics and importing my first tire brand from overseas, all the way to doing warranty adjustments to even working, doing sales and going door to door, trying to open up new accounts. So I've done pretty much everything that I think, is involved in wholesale and retail. I think the biggest thing for me is I always tell people I'm a student of the craft. I never stop learning. I'm always talking to people, and more often than not, I try my best. If I'm not reading, I am calling someone. If I'm not calling someone, I am watching a video. If I'm not watching a video, just meeting people for, whether it's for lunch or dinner, um, not just in the industry, like any industry that I think I can just gain some knowledge from.
Well, Jared, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for the time and the great conversation, and congratulations to Tire Agent for the recent accolades. They seem to be very well deserved based on the person running them, and I hope that things continue to be successful for you.
Thank you so much for having me, and you guys are doing great work, and I continue to want to continue to see everything that you're doing and you're building and the audience you're doing. You guys are really helping people in the industry. So thank you so much for what you've been continuing to work on.
Well, thank you very, very much. Hopefully we can catch up soon.
Absolutely.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think Jared had a lot of really, really good points there that apply to both brick and mortar or online retailing or a hybrid of both. I mean, making those relationships with the customer, that's what it comes down to. You can't just compete on price. I mean, if you're doing that and you're being successful, that's fantastic. But having that relationship with the customer, that's what's going to bring in their friends. That's what's going to bring in their brothers and their sisters and the rest of their family. Being there for them to help them choose the right tire for the right vehicle, for the right situation, kind of being that guide for that customer is huge in this business. You have to be able to do that. And in my experience, the most successful tire dealers are doing that. So thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.